Welcome back to Creating Your Life on Money and Wealth. This is episode 27, How Jobs Are Created. Hi, Marc-Andre Alexander back for more Creating Your Life. We're focusing on money and wealth, and today we're going to talk about how jobs are created. Now remember, we're still on Gold Island. We're still in an ideal world where everybody is honest. By the end of this episode, though, we'll start introducing the idea of Iron Island, and we'll start exploring what that means. And then later on in the series, we'll get into Silver Island. Today, we're going to talk about jobs. So remember Alex and the aqueduct. Alex was the one who thought up the idea of creating something so that people didn't have to walk for hours to get water and come back. He got people organized to build an aqueduct, get people involved so that they traded their labor for the short-term goal of getting easier water access in the long term. And it benefited the community. So this is one example of how jobs kind of start being introduced, the idea that people are trading their labor for something. It builds community, all based on labor, choice, ingenuity, and trade. And this is good. This is a good thing for a community. The idea, let me give you an example. Remember, Tor had his fishing pole that he created, and he was able to start creating more wealth by catching more fish and giving himself leisure time. And then he would trade fish for other objects. Well, he has an idea, and he talks with another fellow on the island, Jay. And he offers Jay the opportunity to learn how to fish using the fishing pole. Essentially, I'll loan you a fishing pole that I created. You catch the fish, and you get to keep a portion of it. So let's say Jay will then catch 10 fish in a day. He gets to keep 4, and Tor gets to keep 6. So what's happened now is that Tor has essentially created a job for Jay, and Jay has volunteered and agreed to the idea that, hey, I'll acquire a skill, I'll learn how to use a fishing pole, and for every 10 that I catch, I give you 6, I get to keep 4. It's a win-win all the way around. Tor, on the one hand, gets value out of the fact that he was the inventor of the fishing pole, and he's helping people build skilled labor and catching fish. So whereas before Jay had to catch 1 fish a day on his own, now he can work for a day, catch 10 fish, and he gets to keep 4 of them. That generates more leisure for him. It's a win for him. So this is another idea about building wealth. Both are enriched. Jay, he used to catch 1 on his own. Now, for the same time, he gets 4. He acquires a skill, and he has a working trade. It's a choice that benefits everybody involved. Jobs create more community. As people have more leisure, they gravitate towards to what they love to do and what the community values. If I love to create art or sing or do one of the leisure enhancing wealth activities, if I'm able to go to work, in a sense, learn how to fish, take advantage of Tor's job offer, it gives me more leisure time to pursue other things I love. And I can start developing things that maybe the community values. So if maybe I develop my voice and now I can start trading my singing for something, or I can do art and trade that for something, or I can write a poem and trade that for something. If the community values it, it becomes wealth that I can then trade. And my job gives me that time to do it. And it helps create community in the process. What happens then is specialized skills begin developing, and this is what we call trades and crafts. On the one hand, you have fishers and slingshotters and others who develop working trades. They can begin working. So Sophia could say, hey, I'll teach you how to use my slingshot if you go out and get some coconuts. Give me a portion of them. You get to keep some. Everybody wins. And you develop a skill. Basket weavers, clothing makers, and others develop crafts. So maybe it's not just a working skill. It's also they start inventing things, objects to trade. And this becomes crafts. And those are also specialized skills. So the whole community starts developing things. People can do what they love. People can develop either skills for working trades or skills at creating crafts. and it becomes part of what's traded. In other words, skills also equal wealth. Having skills that other value is having wealth. If I have a lot of skills that are highly valued, in fact, if I develop very, very specialized skills, somebody may pay me a lot, trade a lot for that skill. And so I increase my value. People who value it will trade for it, and people are free to choose their skills. They can apply their own creative imagination and even invent new skills. And if it's valued, somebody will want to trade for it. So innovation comes into play, the creation of new kinds of wealth. But jobs help those also who do not apply their creative imagination. In other words, maybe I'm not the kind of person who really cares about inventing something new, but I like working. I like working trades. I like learning some things that way. It's not about creative imagination, but I can be trained in various skills, and I can then trade that skilled labor. I can learn how to fish. I can learn also how to use the slingshot. I can learn other things, and I can multiply my skills. This is really important because this also relates to trade-offs, which I mentioned before. Remember, a skill may not be enough if too many have that skill. So if everybody can do it and it's not special enough, maybe it'll be hard for me to trade that kind of labor or skill. Others may outpace me in improving their skills in that area. I may be a good fisherman, but there may be a lot of people who are great fishermen. So suddenly they could be even more valuable in some way. Also, the skill can decline in value due to innovation. There was a time where horse and buggies were very popular, and this is the classic example where somebody who made buggy whips did very well until the automobile came along. Horses were no longer needed, and buggies went out of fashion. And so buggy whips suddenly, I had this skill, but it didn't matter anymore. So one of the things about skills and the trade-offs that come with them is there's always an inherent risk in having a skill. It may suddenly go away. Or if you're not the kind of person who will multiply your skills over time to increase long-term value, you may find yourself behind in some way. So the trade-offs are important to understand that when you have freedom to choose, when you exercise your ability to acquire things and make yourself into something valuable, there's a trade-off in that you will sometimes find yourself in a position where maybe the effort that you put has a time limit on it, or you have to think of ways of improving constantly so that you can take next steps and people continue to find value in what you do. So that kind of leads to a question at this point. So we have a thriving community on Gold Island. Everything's going really well. They're doing well. One day, Iron Island hears about Gold Island. There's all this stuff happening over there. And remember, Iron Island is filled with robbers and bandits. So the question is, what happens when they find out about Gold Island? We'll talk about that next time on why we need government. In the meantime, go to marcandrealexander.com for more information and check out my book, Money and Wealth, on amazon.com.